Hi, Yassine from Change Wealth here to talk to you today about what is the stock market. If you're like me, when I was younger, I didn't understand what people meant when they referred to the stock market. The markets are up, the markets are down, the prices seem to move, as though they had a mind of their own and nobody was seemingly in control of them. How could this possibly be true? And so there must be something that's controlling the market, right? And so these are the questions I asked. And if nobody's ever sort of explained it to you in this way, maybe this little analogy will be helpful to you in understanding what we mean when we're talking about the stock market. So let's say you go to like the local flea market or a farmer's market or something like that, and you have a bunch of different booths. Let's say these are all different booths here. And at each booth or each vendor's table or what have you, there's a pair of people that are kind of haggling over a particular item, right? And so at this table, object one, maybe it's some artisan soap or something like that. These people are negotiating what it's going to take for this person to part with that soap to give it to the other person, right? And at the next table, object two is maybe some candles or something. This person is trying to determine what price they might be able to sell to that person for example. Over here, these people are arguing over cinnamon buns, and way down the line, maybe 100 tables later, these people are, what are they selling? They're selling some fresh vegetables. This person's selling fresh vegetables for some price to this other person. At each of those tables, there's a separate transaction going on. The two people are kind of trying to figure out what the price is that will allow the seller to be comfortable in selling the item, and the buyer is comfortable in buying the item at that particular price. The stock market then, I think the operative word there, the important word is markets, and so the stock market is basically this exact idea. It's just in a different environment, and the things that are being bought and sold are different, right? And so instead of arguing over soap or cinnamon buns or fresh vegetables, in the financial markets, the parties in each of these transactions are trading financial instruments, so stocks or bonds. We call it the stock market, but it includes a lot of different financial instruments. We're not going to cover what stocks and bonds are here in this video, but it just basically the idea is that in the stock market, the same forces are at play. There's a lot more than 100, of course, but many individual transactions happening at all times, each of which basically revolve around a buyer and a seller trying to find a price at which the thing that they're trading can exchange hands, I guess, right? Where they're both comfortable with the parameters of the transaction. So if we take this over not 100, but thousands or millions of transactions every single day, now you start to understand why the stock market seems to move all on its own, because it's not one person controlling the transactions or the prices of each of these transactions. It's actually, the stock market is made up of, call it millions of transactions, where people at the end of the day are basically negotiating the price at which they'll trade certain things. So depending on a person's outlook for a particular company, ABC company for example, this person may feel like ABC company's not headed for good results. They may be willing to part with this unit of stock of ABC company, and this person on the other hand has some different expectation of what's going to happen for ABC company, so they're willing to buy, or they're at least willing to buy at the price that this person here is willing to sell, for example. And if we consider the fact that those types of conversations or those types of transactions are happening in huge number across the entire market, that's why you can start to see that the market movement overall is essentially random. It's basically incapable of being predicted or modeled, because it's all fundamentally driven by human behavior and in large volume at that. So hopefully that is helpful to you in terms of understanding broadly what we mean when we're talking about the stock market and how it moves and why it's sort of impossible to predict. Yeah, I guess that's it for today, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks.